Hey, what's up, friends? I'm Darkoburi the Collector. Welcome to this week's video featuring a piece from Tsume art. Like I mentioned in the introduction, today we've got this mega piece from Tsume art. They're bringing us something from the Dragon Ball Z franchise, and it's none other than Krillin versus the formidable, or should I say, incredible Saibaiman. This is what they call one of their high-quality statuettes, and it's made by the company Tsume. Remember, we've already done quite a few unboxings from this company here, and they never fail to surprise us. This is one of their slightly older pieces, since they've been releasing a lot lately, but there have been some delays because of COVID. So I thought, let's showcase a Tsume piece, because honestly, they're impressive, and we'll save the others for later since a bunch are coming out now. In fact, I've already been told that shipping is on the way. The part one love most is that right here, you get a spoiler about the piece's number. I'll just tell you that they made 2,000 pieces of this Krillin versus the Saibaimen by Tsume. So where can you find it? Right now, you can only find it on eBay, and it's going for 2 or 3 times its original price. So if you want it, if you like it, check out the video and then head over to eBay to buy it. Honestly, it's tough to get your hands on because there are only 2,000 pieces in the world, and you're about to see one of them here on the Darkoburi channel. So I quickly took out the box that was inside because the other one didn't have any extra information. It was just the same thing on the back. And once we've taken out this box, right away we see the artwork. Here we have Krillin and the Saibaimen, which is one of the first things we get in the Dragon Ball Z saga. Honestly, the whole Dragon Ball Z saga is just amazing, a must watch. And if you're watching Channel 5, I think right now Raditz is arriving on Earth again. So check it out because Dragon Ball Z is starting all over again. Here is where we have the name of the figure, and as I've mentioned before, Tsume is a French company, which is why it says Krillin versus the redoubtable Saibaiman. So, just so you know, redoubtable means formidable, the fantastic, Saibaiman, the incredible. Over here we have the Tsume logo, and here it also says these are Tsume's high-quality statues. Just a reminder, this is a piece that came out a while ago, which is why it has this huge Tsume logo. If you remember, our channel's very first piece was a cancer from Tsume, also a high-quality statue. And honestly, they're on another level. I'm going to turn the box around, and as you can see, it's really, really big. And on this side, we just have a drawing of Shenron. There are the Z Warriors. Remember them? They would gather the Dragon Balls. This amazing dragon would appear, and he could grant them a wish. Then, after granting the wish, the balls would turn to stone and scatter all over the earth. That's when Bulma designed a device capable of tracking all the Dragon Balls, and that's where the adventure begins in Dragon Ball, back when Goku was just a little kid. Now, on this side, we're going to have a bit of history. I'll give you a close-up of this in a moment, so you can read it yourselves. But here we have the diorama of the piece. Here's Krillin really going at it against these Saibaimen, taking them out, and I'll give you a bit of context about that in a second. What I like here is seeing this logo. Check out the certificate of authenticity from Tsume. It's officially licensed by Toei Animation and Tsume art. And finally, over here on this side, we have Shenron again. And now, so you can read it yourself if you want, in French or in English, I'm going to show you what the text says about why this piece was made. Once you've read it, there's nothing left but to start the unboxing, which is what you came to this awesome channel for, to check out Darkoburi showing you this mega diorama. So let me take out the piece. Let's start assembling it. Don't go anywhere. Stay here on the Darkoburi channel. And now we've taken out all the pieces of our Tsume diorama. And the first thing we have obviously, is the base. I like to show the bases because once everything is assembled, it's really heavy. So this is the perfect time to check out what's underneath. Here, I'll give you a quick look at how the base looks. What surprises me is that the piece number isn't here. Usually, they write it by hand right here, like this is piece X out of 2000. But what we did get was our certificate of authenticity, or rather, our little plaque that tells us we're close to piece number 2000. So I almost missed out on my Krillin versus the Silence, because with just about 23 more pieces, we would have hit 2000. Here we can see it says 1977 out of 2000 pieces that exist in the world, and you're seeing one of them right here on the Darkoburi channel. The other thing we see here in this awesome diorama is this part, which is, let's say, the mountain or what's being destroyed as a result of Krillin's attack and everything that's happening over here. What excites me is seeing here where the pieces are assembled. Check out these electronic components, which means that the piece is going to light up there. And what confirms it is that right here we have a little part where it's actually going to connect to the power. Honestly, it lights up, and in a moment, we'll see how it all looks once it's fully assembled. What came in the whole set were these 4 Saibaiman, Krillin's power effects, and obviously one of the most dangerous sea warriors. We have one of the deadliest. You could say he's the strongest human that appears in Dragon Ball. Honestly, when they pick him for the Tournament of Power, right alongside Master Roshi, he's one of the strongest humans, and honestly, he far surpasses Master Roshi. Let's just say he's literally the strongest human in the entire saga. Let me start putting together all the other little things. For example, we have both the Dragon Ball logo, and here's the Z, which we saw in an unboxing of a Goddings where it only said Dragon Ball. Here, the iconic part is the Dragon Ball itself, which has always accompanied the warriors throughout the series. Let me assemble a few pieces while I analyze each of the Saibaimen, and honestly, the final detail is turning on the light, like it's a Christmas tree. So stick around. Let's check it out here on the Darkoburi channel. Now, here's how Krillin is set up at the start. The first thing you notice is obviously the lack of hair. Of course, later in the series, we find out Krillin wasn't actually bald. He shaved his head. Even Android 18 helps him shave, and we see him later with his daughter and with hair. But here, throughout the series, from when he was a kid training with Goku, he always appeared completely shaved. He also has the characteristic 6 dots on his forehead, that peculiar mark, so to speak, on his face. Now, let's look at what else he comes with. First, let's check out his expression. Even the veins are popping out. If you remember the scene, what had just happened a little before was that Yamcha had been killed. He let his guard down fighting these powerful Saibaimen, who, by the way, were the ones Vegeta and Nappa brought, and they weren't just any Saibaimen. The Silence used them to start conquering worlds. But obviously, Prince Vegeta brought some Saibaimen that were a bit stronger. One of them grabs Yamcha and explodes, and now there's the meme where Yamcha is lying there, kind of in a fetal position. Krillin gets angry and unleashes this mega power against the Saibaimen, which is where this whole demonstration in Dragon Ball Z happens. What we need to look at is, just check out the effect they gave the clothes. You can see all the texture on both the shirt and the pants. That detail fascinated me. They put this whole fabric effect on the entire outfit, and it looks absolutely incredible. You can see the effect of the shadows, which is something the folks at Tsume love to play with, and honestly, it looks amazing. Some parts are a bit shinier, some a bit more matte, all in the same orange color, and the symbol on the back really stands out. If you know what it is, let me know in the comments. Obviously, as they say, it's the turtle symbol from his teacher, in this case, the master. Which master? Rashi means both master in Japanese and master in Spanish, but here he also has it on the front. So the whole outfit was the one they used for training. It's the same one we see Goku wear throughout the entire series. And here, first, he has the black shoes with white socks. Now that's an accessory. Let's say that's a bit Japanese. He has these wraps or wristbands on his hands, which are blue, and the belt is also blue. Let's remember that these were training bands that had some weight to them, and Goku also wore a blue undershirt, which we've seen in quite a few Dragon Ball scenes that also had weight. He takes it off, and that's how he's able to move much faster. The difference with Goku is that Goku also wore boots, while here he just wears regular shoes. Now let's check out the facial expression. He's clearly screaming in pain. And look at all the detail on his arms. You can see all of Krillin's muscles, but there are also some small lines, as if he'd been on the ground, showing the effects of battle. That's something our friends at Tsume Art didn't overlook. All over his arm, you can see some veins popping out, and his hands are now completely straight, launching the attack. You can also see the detail of the line inside his hands. And now I'm going to let you take a closer look at this Krillin detail on Darkoburi's channel. I just couldn't wait, so I set up the entire diorama. This is how the incredible piece is going to look. Starting down here, I don't know if you've already seen the Dragon Ball Z set up, but all the pieces are magnetized, which is great. And let's start with the review of this Saibaiman. Why? Because it's the only one that's still complete. He's running away from Krillin's attack, which honestly looks amazing. They added this little effect to Krillin here to make it look like he just launched it. And this Saibaiman, just look at the expression on its face. Those red eyes that all the Saibaimen had. Just a little black dot that's now the actual eye. But the expression is one of fear and terror as it's flying, running away because it's about to be killed. And here is where you can see the attack that's just about to split the anatomy of a Silent. They were creatures that were a bit short, but if you compare them to Kin, they weren't that much smaller. That's why they're about the same height. Their hands were a slightly more intense green color with claws, and only had 3 fingers. Check it out, the same detail is on both feet. Each foot only has 3 big toes. Remember that they used to carry them around as seeds. They'd plant them, and then these signs would come out. If you remember the scene, describe it in the comments because honestly, it's super epic when the Z warriors see the Vermin coming out like more warriors. If the Silents were already terrifying, the San Men were an even deadlier terror that took out Yamcha. Between the legs, let's also mention this part that's a bit greener. Let's say it's the armor, and we can see it because this is where they start to peel it off. If we look at what they have here on their arms, it's a slightly lighter green color and completely striped horizontally. Here you can also see the biceps area, the elbow, all the way down to the wrist, and it's completely striped. Both arms and the legs look the same, a detail we'll see in a moment when we analyze this piece. But now without this part, the armor. So we can infer that this wasn't part of the skin, or it was a really tough shell that protected them. And after Krillin's attack, it disappeared. The ears we have here, just look at how pointy they are. Let's say they're like those of elves or goblins. And the brain? You can see here there's just a line dividing the head, and these lines are marked as if it were the brain. The truth is that they did have something there, and we're going to analyze it as if they were Funko Pops to see if they have a brain or not, but here these lines were marked, and on the back, you can see it's completely dark green, just like in the front. Regarding all this armor, or perhaps shell-like operation that effectively protected them, if you happen to know for sure whether it was armor or a shell, or even if you just want to vote on which one you think it was, please be sure to leave it in the comments section below. And LT, break time equals 0.5s/NGT. For the time being, I'll leave you with some detailed close-ups of this specific part of the Krillin versus the Saibaiman piece from Tsume. This is so we can better analyze this particular Saibaiman, who has, as you can see, already been completely taken down in the ongoing fight. And LT, break time equals 0.5s/NGT. I felt it was necessary to take him out of the scene because, quite honestly, this character has a great deal of intricate details, and it is definitely worth taking the time to analyze him in this specific way. The first thing we notice is the popped out eye. If you look at the others, the eye is completely red and only has the little black dot. Here, you can see the eye is totally bulging out, and honestly, parts of the body are already butchered. The interesting thing about Tsume is that, on the figure, all the pieces of this dismembered body are attached. Let's first analyze this little hand. Like the saying goes, I've got a little hand, but he doesn't have a hand anymore. Here you can see all this part of the skin and blood that's already been separated from the body. Likewise, on this side, you can also see the bone and all the exposed skin and the blood that's kind of oozing out. Here we can observe how it looks from this angle, and the inside part that's visible on both legs. Check out how you can see the perfect cut there, and there are a lot of cuts here on the leg. There's a cut here, and let's also look at this side of the leg, and here on the inside of the arm, there are also cuts. It's like Krillin's attack was a bunch of slashes all at once, and as epic as it gets, he left this Silent's whole brain exposed, with no way to save him. And what's interesting is how you can see inside here, in the skull area. We don't actually see any bone here, so we could say they were vulnerable at this spot. And right here, this Saibaiman is completely exposed. The same features appear on the skin, which is marked with horizontal stripes. This part here that we see is completely, let's say you can see the veins, but the brain isn't at the same capacity or size as the skull. Check out how the brain just barely sticks out here, and there's all this extra space up here above it. Interesting fact, so I'll leave you to analyze this Saibaiman here on the Darkoburi channel. In the next part, we have this other silent. What I like about the diorama is this part with the explosion of power. It's really spiky. Honestly, there are some pieces I don't like for that reason, because they have all these really sharp points, including the Super Silent 3 Goku. These pieces are hard to put together because the hair is always super spiky, and it can poke your hands, especially here with the battle effect. It comes with the rocks, and if you look closely, they're also coming up from the ground like this, creating this cloud where this Silent is already destroyed from the waist down. Here we can see that this is part of the armor's chest plate sticking out, and there's just a tiny bit left here of the little legs. But now only this little leg remains. You can also see the blood, the bone that's been completely torn apart, and an effect that you can see way inside here. We'll do a close-up in a moment so you can see it in detail, but you can no longer see the waist or the other leg. If you look here, the hand is also completely destroyed. And what's interesting is that if you check out the chest area, there's no armor left at all, and the skin is totally exposed, just like the rest. If you noticed, the hand was striped. Here we see it on the chest, and we're also going to see it on the back. Now this really makes me wonder if it was actually part of a shell or armor that the Silence already had built in, but the cut on this side looks super epic, and the exposed skin on the other side where the cut is. The most interesting thing is the look of horror on the Silence face, knowing it's all over, the eyes bulging, red because of their nature, and the tongue completely sticking out, which is what we can see because check it out, here it looks like he's already being completely beheaded by Krillin from the attack, and you can even see the cut all the way back here. It goes from the throat all the way to the back of the neck, which means this Cylon is going to be totally decapitated. But it would have been even better if our friends at Sumar had put the head somewhere around here. That would have made it a bit more epic. What do you think about it? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'll show you the close-ups. Check out the videos, because this silent man destroyed by Krillin here on Darkobury's channel is really awesome. And now all we have left to analyze is this last Saibaiman, which is also completely destroyed. Here we can already see a leg flying off, and on both ends you can see the bone. Likewise, this little hand is totally dismembered, and on this side, let me show you, you can see the bone and that part with the blood. What's interesting, like I said, is this part here. We don't even know if it's from the chest or the back, but it's already completely separated from the body, and you'll see the same effect on the back of the neck. Check this out here. You can also see that it's being cut on that same side, but this Saibaiman doesn't have much left. Here we analyze another hand. Here we see a piece of the foot, and what's interesting about this figure is that this little piece of foot is embedded in the mountain. Now we can really analyze the whole bone, which is the white color, let's call it white, of its claws that have now turned blue, and now the green color of the foot. The truth is, these sawmen were very dangerous, but Krillin was even more dangerous. Here you can see they're about to sell some sawmen barbecue, ready to be cooked, and honestly, he was already dismembered in a brutal attack by Krillin. There were some other attacks that I liked even more, and you know which one I'm talking about. It's the saw he starts gyrating from his hand, which is honestly one of the most epic and coolest attacks invented by Krillin. But now it's time to analyze the whole piece. First, I'll show you the Saiyaman here so you can take a look, and then we'll analyze the piece with the lighting effect we still need to check out. And now that we've seen all the details of all the Saibaiman and, of course, our hero Krillin, the strongest human in the entire Dragon Ball saga, there's only one thing left, to show you how the piece looks when it's lit up. Our friends at Sumart really outdid themselves this time, and just check out the effect that happens with each of Krillin's attacks. It honestly looks absolutely epic. Now go ahead and dive into all the details we're going to have on this piece. But first, I'll leave you with some preview photos for you to fall in love with. Another detail I loved about the piece is that the connector that comes as a gift, I thought it would use batteries, but right off the bat, you can't use batteries. It's a connector that plugs directly into the wall, and when I took it out, surprise, it came with a European plug. I thought, wow, what a nice touch, because they're from France, but it also came with adapters for all the different types of plugs out there. And honestly, that deserves a perfect 10. If the piece was already super awesome, the fact that they considered the different chargers because they know they're shipping worldwide just makes it absolutely perfect. Remember how we had an issue with the Iki to Phoenix piece? Here, we don't see any flickering. It doesn't turn on and off, or have any loose connections, which is another brilliant thing, especially considering this piece has been out for quite a while, and we're just now unboxing it. Why is that? Because it's the 100th week of our videos. I'm not saying it's the 100th unboxing, because we've had double, triple, and even 5 unboxings in a single video, and days with double videos. But honestly, it's the 100th week, 100 weeks that you've been following me here on the Darkoburi channel. You know that you make this channel and the whole fandom, so leave a comment. I'm signing off. Darkoburi, peace out.